How's it going? David from Comic Book Investment. So in this video, we're going to look at 5 keys that are dropping in price. Some of them dropped by quite a bit, like 80%. And I'll dive into more of the details, why they're dropping, where do I think they're going, things like that. Also, if you guys comment on these videos, the dropping or going up or whatever, a comic that you want me to look up, then I will. And normally you guys do, but I looked at the last video that I did like this and no one commented any book. So I came up with my own. But yeah, if you comment below like, hey, David, look at this, and I check it out, I'll usually put a heart next to the comment, meaning I looked at it. And if there's conclusive evidence that it is going down or is going up, then I'll put it on one of these videos. Most of the comments actually were about this shirt, so I wore it again. A lot of people wondered if I listened to this type of music. When I was younger, I did. This is like more like, I would say, golden age, like punk music. And I am not that old. Most of the time, I would say I listen to the silver age of like punk rock. Most of the bands on here are from like either late 70s or around the 80s. And I was born in 85. So my music taste is usually generally right around like 95 to like 2003. So most of these bands probably still existed and were making music, but they were kind of past their prime. Like they're more big, like I listen to like Misfits, of course, but they're really popular for like punk rock stuff. I think Minor Threat is on here. I listen to a little bit of them, but I'm more like the Silver Age punk rock stuff, and even I guess Bronze Age. That's where I lie with the punk stuff. But I do like punk music and stuff like that. That's mostly what I listened to. Pretty much all I listened to actually when I was in high school. But yeah, so that's about the shirt. And how I got this shirt actually was I was starting a clothing line, and I was using a company, and they gave me samples, and this was one of the samples, and this is the only one I kept because it's the only one I liked. So I didn't like buy this anywhere. And I think it used to be white. I can't really remember, but maybe I washed it with like a shirt or something. So it's like a light pink, like a very pale pink. I can't remember. I thought it was white at one point, and this kind of turned pink. But maybe my memory is bad because I got this shirt like 20 years ago. So now on to the comments, because you guys wanted to hear that history lesson so bad. All right, first one is Transformers number 1. A 9.4 is down 62% from 530 to 200. 9.6 down 68% from 1121 to 360. And a 9.8 is down 57% from about 3,200, now selling for 1,375. I did see like a little bit of uptick in the last couple months, like slight, like itty bitty, because obviously they're coming out with the new Transformers. Is the rise of the animals? I don't know what it's called. I stopped watching Transformers like after number 2, but I know it's Beast Wars, and that was the Transformers that I watched when I was a kid, because the original Transformers, like I said, is from the 80s. I was like a wee itty bitty baby. I did watch the Turtles though. I remember the Turtles. I watched that a ton. Turtles was like my jam. I don't know. I was never really that into the Transformers, to be honest. But I did watch Beast Wars, and that was like late 90s, I think, maybe early 2000s, somewhere around there. And I know the new Transformers is based off of the Beast Wars stuff. So you got the gorilla, who was Optimus Prime, but I don't know what he is. And this one, I can barely remember. It's been so long. Anyway, so it saw a slight uptick. Overall, this got massively huge from the comic boom. If you just look at that graph, it's just astounding sometimes. Like, you look at the history of comic books. Never have you seen anything like this, where it jumps up 3-4 times what it was just a month prior, and it's dropped way down. And that's because a lot of factors. Obviously, you had the comic boom, and a lot of people pretty much everyone got free money, and they spent it on things they wanted, like comics and toys and things like that. And you also got a huge boost in the nostalgia stuff, the collectible nostalgia stuff. So like like Funko Pops, things like that. That just went gangbusters. There was my friend. He does like subscription box reviews, and he was doing a ton. Like, I don't know, he had like 10 or 15 a month, but now it's dwindled down to like 4 or something like that because all of them, most of them went out of business or don't really exist anymore. I don't know what happened to them, something like that. Anyways, that's what's going on with Transformers. Next, we got Savage She-Hulk #1, a 9.4 down 75% from 613 to 153, 9.6 down 80% from 850 to 172, and a 9.8 down 80% from a little over 2,000, now selling for 400. Now, obviously, this got big because Comic Boom, and also they're announcing that TV show that came out that most people didn't really like or care for. I mean, the best I've heard is it was okay. I didn't really care for it. After like a lot of people I talked to, this turned it off. The only reason I, you know, stayed strong and finished the show, I didn't like it. I didn't want to, but was just so I could make a video about it. So that's the only reason I stayed. And I did it with my wife. So that was entertaining for me to do as well. Nonetheless, I mean, if you look at it, this is basically where it was at. I looked at, so it sold for like 400. It was averaging around like 380 right before it got the huge boom up. So that's where it's going to return to. So it's maybe slightly a little bit more, but of a drop. But this is pretty much, I would imagine I'm going off of my instincts here and saying this is kind of where it's pretty much going to bottom out around here. I would say like between 350 and 380 is probably where it's going to stay for a 9.8. Next, we got Vengeance #1, the first appearance of America Chavez. A 9.4 is down 74% from 570 to 149. A 9.6 down 76% from 711 to 170. And a 9.8 is down 70% from 2000 to 608. Yeah. I mean, this book just got huge because of Doctor Strange 2. And people assuming that every single character that happens to show up in a Marvel movie is going to get their own spin-off, which it seemed to be kind of true for a while. But now we have so many characters. There's only so many shows that come out with a year, and they're actually backpedaling and coming out with less because they realize they're ruining their brand by just pumping out stuff. But it's not, that's the thing. People say like superhero fatigue. It's not fatigue. It's the fact that you put out trash. You put out trash, people aren't going to watch it. I just watched Shazam 2. And I loved the first one. Loved it. And it reminded me kind of like a DC's version of Deadpool, but like a family-friendly version. I thought it was funny. I thought it was entertaining. Zach Levy I really like. And so then #2, I watched the trailers and I had zero desire to see it. Like the trailers made me actively not want to watch it. Because I'm like, I don't want my superheroes fighting a 90-year-old woman. To me, that is not appealing. I'm sorry. I don't care that he has superpowers. It's like in the age where there's so much superhero content, more than I can even digest, like it doesn't look appealing. I'm sorry. It doesn't. And then so I waited to come out on HBO Max, and the few friends I saw that did actually see it, they said they liked it. So I was like, okay, I was high hopes. I was ready. I was excited to see it. And man, it was bad. It was just bad. The writing is terrible. It's terrible. The jokes aren't funny. They went backwards. And I don't understand why shows do this. They become like more little kiddish. But I'm like, Shazam came out like 4 or 5 years ago. So whoever watched it, if they're like 12 years old, they're now 17 or almost in high school or graduating high school. Like they've actually moved to more adult content. So you should move with your characters, or the audience, move up the age, make it more adult oriented, not so kid friendly. Oh my God. So, I mean, the Turtles did this. Turtles 1 from 1990, the movie, that was way more adult oriented compared to Turtles 3. It was just like straight up kids. And I'm like, age with the kids, age with your audience. Anyways, the movie is terrible. Okay, it's not terrible, it's bad. And I did not like it at all. At all. I actually fell asleep at the very, very end because I was struggling to stay awake. And I was like, I know what's going to happen. He's going to say Shazam and do the big bolt of lightning in his little dome and kill everyone and whatever. And so that's why I was like, I've got the rest of it. Fell asleep. And I was right, and that's what ended up happening. It was just, I could nitpick that movie apart and why it's bad, but it's bad. I only watched it because it was free on HBO Max. But nonetheless, about America Chavez, I don't know where I was going with this, but all I have to say is just because she was in Doctor Strange 2 does not mean she's going to appear in a million other things. And rightfully so. This book is going down. It should never have been $2,000 to begin with. This book has a big enough print run, enough of them out there that exist. Although the cover is very cool. I do like that cover. I think it's is it Delato? I don't know. Gabriel Delato? I think so. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, that's what's going to happen with Mary Chavez. I would not. It's almost down to where it was before. So there's the shining glimmer of hope that it's back to where it should be. All right, next we got Marvel Superheroes 13, first appearance of Carol Danvers. 6.0 is down 80% from 776 to 159, and 8.0 is down 76% from about 2050 to about 480, and then 9.4 is down 73% from 12,500 to now selling for 3,300. This just goes to show that I put this on here because I want to show you just because a character's out and they have movies and they're in the MCU and all that kind of stuff does not mean the book is forever going to be going up. The character has to bond with these fans. Like, you have to have some kind of connection. If you have no connection, then you have a bunch of people trying to make money and they pump out these books and it goes up because people are going to buy into the hype, get the FOMO, and then the FOMO dies and then you're left with nothing. And your best hope is you make a great movie or a great comic or whatever it is you're making and you gain fans. And then those fans, yes, they buy the initial and it does drop, but it's like if it's selling for like 500, it'll have a bump up, but now it's selling for 700 after the bump, and it'll slowly be going up. You're gaining fans. You need to be gaining fans to go like, I really like Captain Marvel. Now I want to go buy the comic book because it's my favorite character of all time, said no one. So they go out and buy the book, and then this book, goes up. But if you look at this graph, literally it had a boom in 2018, before the comic boom, just because that's around when the movie was coming out. It came out in 2019, like a little after. So that was the hype. And then it has dropped. Zero comic boom on all these grade levels. I looked. No comic boom because people didn't care. They got their free money, and then they're like, what should I buy? Not Captain Marvel, or I should say Carol Danvers Captain Marvel. So no one went back and bought that book. So when people have money, you have to pull them and convince them to buy their first appearance or whatever it is, whatever book it is they want to buy. That's how the book goes up. So you have to create new fans because it's supply and demand. There's limited supply out there and you got to create more demand. So this just goes to show, just because a character is out, has a new movie coming out, all that kind of, I see nothing. I see nothing going on with this character, and not even getting a little bump now because they have a new movie coming out with trailers and everything, because they don't care. They don't care. There's obviously her appearance in the MCU had an initial bump, but then it went right back down to where it was before, and it got no new fans. I'm sure it got some fans, but majority, not a lot of new fans. So yeah, and then we can look at Marvel Superheroes 12, first appearance of Captain Marvel, the one right before this. A 6.0 is down 74% from 390 to 103, an 8.0 is down only 47% from 473 to 250, and a 9.4 is down 47% from 1350 to 716. And if you look at that graph, you can see it went up and it's kind of been stabilizing the whole time. It didn't go down. It's just kind of been like this. Even with the comic boom. This one didn't get a comic boom boost. Not really. Anyways, most of the grade ranges. But it's been steady for the last while, just kind of hovering around. Like, obviously, you're going to have some sales higher, some sales lower. That's why it's like this. It's not a hot selling book, so you're not going to have them like 100 selling a month, like a Spider-Man 300. But it's kind of hovering around. Like, the sale right before this was almost back to a near record, like literally like a couple months ago. So yeah, it's just kind of all over the place, up and down. But like I said, it's down 47% from its peak. And I did the same grade ranges, 9.4, 8.0, and 6.0, compared to the same 9.4 is down 73% for the Carol Danvers one. Yeah, so, I mean, this one has its fans baked in because it had a long ongoing series from the 70s to the 80s and beyond. But, I mean, he was kind of in the movie, I guess. I mean, wasn't he Jude Law's character? Kind of, I think. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm trying to remember that movie. The movie I barely remember. I didn't really like it. But yeah. So just because someone's in a movie, I'm letting you guys know this. Just because someone's in a movie and you think it's going to be the next big thing, You have no idea what's going to happen to it, because unless it really connects with the audience, it could just go back down to where it was pre-hype and just kind of stay there forever, for years and years and years. I mean, it'll slowly go up. I'm sure the Carol Danvers one will slowly go up over time, but don't expect, it to be like going to the moon or whatever the kids call it these days. That'll be it. Have a good day.